Luxury rarely announces itself. It doesn't shout through oversized logos or aggressive displays of wealth. True luxury moves differently. It exists in the precision of craftsmanship, in patience, and in the quiet confidence of knowing that excellence does not need constant validation. The most refined things in the world rarely ask for attention. They simply earn it. In recent years, the phrase quiet luxury has returned to the cultural conversation. Fashion magazines discuss it, designers reference it, social media has turned it into a trend. But the truth is, quiet luxury was never meant to be a trend at all. It's a philosophy, one that values timelessness over novelty and subtlety over spectacle. Dior is one of them. Today, Dior represents timeless elegance, disciplined beauty, and a sense of refinement that feels both modern and eternal. But the origins of this philosophy trace back to a man whose life was anything but stable. The story of Dior begins not with fashion shows or celebrity endorsements. It begins with a quiet boy growing up beside the sea. Christian Dior was born in 1905 in the coastal town of Granville, Normandy. His father was a successful industrialist who had built a fortune through the fertilizer business. The Dior family lived comfortably in a large seaside villa known as Les Rums, a pale pink house that overlooked the English Channel. The home was elegant, but not excessive. What truly defined it were the gardens carefully cultivated by his mother, Madeleine Dior. She adored flowers and spent countless hours designing the landscape around the house. These gardens would leave a lasting impression on him. They were filled with roses, lilies, winding paths, and symmetrical flower beds arranged with almost architectural precision. Dior later said that the shapes and colors of flowers deeply influenced how he thought about design. Long before he created dresses, he understood beauty as something structured yet natural. As a child, Dior was quiet and introspective. He loved art, architecture, and symbolism, but his father had different plans. Fashion was not considered a respectable career. Instead, Christian was expected to pursue diplomacy and political life, so he studied political science in Paris. But Paris in the 1920s was impossible to ignore. It was the center of modern art, literature, and culture. Dior soon found himself drawn into the creative world surrounding him. Eventually, he opened a small art gallery, supported financially by his father. The gallery exhibited works from artists who would later become legends. For a brief moment, Christian Dior believed he had found his path. But life had other plans. The early 1930s brought devastating change. The Great Depression shattered the Dior family fortune. The fertilizer business collapsed, and the financial stability Christian had always known disappeared almost overnight. At the same time, tragedy struck his family. His mother died. His brother passed away soon after. Within a few years, Christian Dior lost both emotional and financial security. The comfortable world he had grown up in seemed to dissolve piece by piece, leaving him in circumstances he had never imagined facing. The gallery closed. He sold paintings, furniture, and eventually even his apartment. At times he relied on friends simply to have a place to sleep. Some nights were uncertain, shaped by quiet worry about what the next day might bring. His health suffered as well. Dior contracted tuberculosis and spent months recovering. For many people, such a series of losses would have marked the end of ambition. But for Dior, it became the beginning of something new. After recovering, he began selling small fashion sketches to newspapers and magazines. The drawings were simple: hats, dresses, silhouettes. They sold for only a few cents each, yet they revealed a rare instinct for proportion and elegance. Editors noticed the delicacy of his lines, Even in small sketches, there was a sense of structure and balance that hinted at something greater. Eventually, the designer Robert Piguet noticed his work and hired him. Under Piguet's guidance, Dior learned discipline. He learned that true elegance was never about excess, it was about balance. World War II interrupted everything. Paris was occupied, fabric was rationed, fashion itself was forced into restraint. Designers had little freedom, and clothing became practical rather than expressive. Materials were scarce, silhouettes were simplified, and the atmosphere of the city, once the vibrant heart of global fashion, grew quieter and more cautious. But Dior continued observing the world around him. Even during those uncertain years, he watched how women dressed, how society adapted, and how elegance tried to survive in difficult circumstances. He paid attention to proportions, fabrics, and the subtle ways beauty endured even when resources were limited. When the war ended, he understood something important. The world did not just need new clothes. It needed optimism. After years of sacrifice, people longed for beauty again. Something graceful, something hopeful, something that felt like a return to life. In 1946, with financial backing from textile magnate Marcel Boussac, Christian Dior opened his own fashion house at 30 Avenue Montaigne. The location itself carried significance. Avenue Montaigne was elegant and refined, the perfect setting for a new vision of couture. Inside the atelier, Dior and his small team worked intensely, preparing designs that would soon surprise the fashion world. Only a few months later, he presented his first collection. What happened next would redefine fashion. After years of wartime austerity, Dior introduced something radically different: soft shoulders, narrow waists, full skirts made with generous amounts of fabric. At a time when materials had been tightly controlled, the abundance of fabric alone felt revolutionary. Dresses moved with fluidity. Silhouettes emphasized grace and femininity. The silhouette was elegant, feminine, and dramatic. Women once again looked like flowers in bloom. The press quickly gave the collection a name that would become legendary: the New Look. It was more than fashion. It was a symbol that beauty could return after hardship, and that elegance still had a place in a recovering world. What made Dior revolutionary was not only the silhouette, it was the thinking behind it. Christian Dior approached fashion almost like an architect. He believed clothing should create structure, harmony, and proportion around the human body. He once described his work as architecture dedicated to the beauty of women. This philosophy defined the identity of the house. Even as Dior expanded globally, opening salons in New York,
Dominated by fireflies.
the brand never lost its emphasis on refinement and balance. Luxury, for Dior, was not loud. It was precise. In 1957, while vacationing in Italy, Christian Dior suffered a fatal heart attack. He was only 52. The news spread quickly through the fashion world, leaving many stunned. Dior had transformed couture in less than a decade, and his sudden death created uncertainty about what would happen to the house he had built so carefully. Yet the house he built did not fade away. Instead, it evolved through generations of designers. A young assistant named Yves Saint Laurent became his successor. Later came other creative leaders who each interpreted Dior's vision in their own way. Eventually, the brand became part of a new global luxury empire led by Bernard Arnault. Dior was no longer just a couture house. It had become one of the most influential luxury brands in the world. Today, Dior exists at the intersection of tradition and modernity. Its collections still echo the shapes of flowers, the structure of architecture, and the elegance that Christian Dior believed every woman deserved. More than 70 years after the New Look, the house continues to shape global fashion. But perhaps its greatest legacy is philosophical. Dior proved that luxury does not need to shout to be powerful. Sometimes the most influential ideas arrive quietly, and once they appear, the world never looks the same again.